All right, hello, my friends, and welcome back to the lounge. Glad to be here with you guys again on this wonderful, wonderful day, as good as it can be, anyways, considering that it's cold outside here in Indiana. We've got a guest with us today on the show as well, Mr. Brandon Armstrong. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, and you're not going to like my weather report because it's nice and warm here in the 70s.
You know what? Now that I think, I don't remember inviting you to the show. No. I love warm weather, but Indiana is definitely one of them states where you don't never know what it's going to be.
I was just talking about this to somebody yesterday. Actually, I posted it on my Facebook page. I said, for once in Texas, I love snow, but not when we have it for a week on end and below zero. But why couldn't we have a white Christmas? Like, that's all I want. 1 year. I want it to snow on Christmas 1 year.
Yeah, now you guys didn't have when you guys got that bad ice storm before. That wasn't even around Christmas, was it?
No, that was in February. You talking about the blizzard that we had in 2021?
Yes.
No, that was in February. That was actually right around Valentine's Day.
Crazy stuff, man. Crazy, crazy.
Oh, it was.
But weather is just one of them things where, as everything else in life, that we just had to deal with it,
Yep,
make it the best of it that we can, and move on. So
exactly.
either way, it's good to have you here, Brandon. I know you've been a big part here since I've started back up here at the lounge, going through and talking about drug addiction, talking about suicide, talking about depression, all these things that are so important that we talk about. And you know, every day is something new in our life, and some people might say no, it's the same. Well, it's not really. Every day is something different, and when we wake up, we got to make a choice. Every day that we wake up, we make a choice. Right off the fly, when we wake up, that's when we decide, is today going to be a good day or is it going to be a bad day? And again, you've been around doing the shows with us, talking about things, and today's kind of a reality of things that we're going to be talking about. And I also want to give a shout out to David. You know who you are. Brandon knows who you are. That's where I'll leave that.
Mm-hmm.
A shout out to Todd. Shout out to Matt. A shout out to uh, Candy. And just the list goes on and on. Reality is something that sometimes it's hard for us to face. Sometimes when reality is in front of us, we don't want to face it. And it's like procrastinating. We decide, we decide what we're going to do. Some say, well, I procrastinate, but I really don't mean to. But the thing is, you do mean to. Now, then when it comes in and you're going to say, well, how does that have anything to do with facing reality? Because you got to make a choice, my friends. You got to make a choice on how do you really want your life to be. And this can be so complicated for some people because of what they might be going through. Somebody that might be depressed, that lost somebody, that, I don't know, failed at a test, or keeps failing in college, or keeps failing at work, or keeps failing to themselves because of drugs. That says, I want to quit, but I just can't do it. I want to throw some code reality to you, and I want you to think about this for a minute, and then we'll get Brandon's perspective on this. Folks, I've been, in the last 2 years, I have been to 7 different funerals in 2 years. In just 2 years. And all 7 of those funerals that I've attended were people that were dearly to me. Dearly. I lost my aunt last year, Aunt Betty. I lost my uncle Gary, my uncle Gary
Your Uncle
last
Gary.
year.
Yep.
I lost Mary. I lost Aunt Minnie. That was 4 in 1 year. And then this year I lost my Uncle Ronnie. I'm giving these to you in order as well. I lost my Uncle Ronnie. And then in August, I lost my father. And then just a day ago, I lost my uncle, Earl. So you might say, well, man, how are you dealing with that? Well, that's why I'm here on this stream today, because I'm going to tell you how I'm dealing with it. And I hope that it can put a little reality in your life. Those 7 funerals put the reality that really it's something that it's not something that I just realized like, oh man, now I get it. But I took it for granted, right? We take things for granted and we don't think about it. But I want you to think about it because the cold reality is this. Every day that we wake up, we should be thanking the Lord. We should be thanking God for giving us another day, another chance, another go at whatever it is we face. Before I go any deeper into that, Brandon, what is your thoughts so far?
I'm in agreement with this. And by the way, I want to as well, since this actually does tie in. My deepest sympathies and condolences go out to all the families in Austin and San Antonio that had to endure horrific, horrific shootings a couple of days ago where
Yes.
6 people were shot. And I believe it was 3 were dead. Um, Suspect is in custody, thank goodness. He didn't die. And he is facing capital murder charges uh, of multiple individuals, is what I've understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So
um,
it's I wasn't even thinking about that until you brought that to my knowledge just now. So yes, our hearts go out to all of those because you know what? That monster took away innocent lives.
he took away his own parents' lives, and that the families are going to have to wake up every day, as you were saying, dealing with reality that people that they love are no longer with them, and they're going to have to find a way to
To build back
move
up.
forward in life and
Yes.
to get back up and move on with life.
Yes. So with that said, Brandon, what is your take on the rest of what I've spoke about so far? What
I think what I and I tell people this all the time, you can't, even though we do it because we're human, it's nature that we do it. I do it. We can't take things for granted. We have to look at the big picture. Things aren't always going to be the same. You can't take things for granted and be like, oh, well, that's going to be the same every day. You
and that
know,
that's hard to do.
it is hard to do.
It is. And I used to be. Now I live my life where I can step outside and look in. Be on the outside of that hourglass and look in. Look in at not other people's life in the, you know, but also at your own and say, is is that my satisfaction? Am I satisfied, number one, with where I'm at? Because the bottom line is this: if you want to at least live a decent life, you got to be satisfied. You got to be content. You got to be acceptable to your own life. Look, there's a lot of things that knock us down. And let me tell you, no, I'm not the only victim out there that's lost somebody. But let me tell you what. 7 people in 2 years. If that can't knock somebody down, then tell me what it is. Because don't think it didn't knock me down. Don't think it didn't bring sadness to me, because it did. But I had to step on the outside and look in and say, what do I need to do to deal with it? And I dealt with it. It's never easy, but the simple fact is this: if you can't look at your own life and figure that out, and I'm not talking about, well, what do I got to do to be rich? I don't want to live poor. Or what do I got to do to have that? No, I'm talking about you, yourself, your soul, your integrity, your honesty, yourself, your life, yourself.
Your self-worth is what I might say.
Good one, Brandon. That's good. Look at yourself from the outside and look at your worth and say, what do I got to do? And better yet, say, are you satisfied with that person standing inside that glass? And if you're telling yourself no, hey, it's okay. I'm not saying that you're going to look at yourself from the outside and just expect you to be happy. No. But have a clear perspective on who you are and where you want to be. And look, there's 2 people in this world, in this life, as you take your breath every day, that can make that difference. And that is God, and that is you. Listen, life can be hard. But if you got someone that's making you feel down and you feel like you're worthless, is it true? Are you worthless? No, you're not. So tell yourself that you're not. Look at your self-worth and build yourself back up. And if maybe this is the first time you've listened to the videos here, and we do appreciate all the viewers and all the subscribers, be sure to subscribe, because we got plenty more to bring you. But go back. There's videos where I talk about how to build up your self-esteem. I talk about how to exercise the mind. Someone told me a couple months ago, well, you can't really exercise the mind. Well, that's not true. You're wrong.
Yes, you can.
Because you can. Because I did it. I am walking proof that you can be in the dumps in your life and you can turn it around. Before 2016, guys, I didn't have anything to be proud of. Nothing to be proud of, because I took everything for granted. Well, I don't know about you, about any of you that might be watching now or you're watching it later, or about you, Brandon, or about anybody out there. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be laying in that casket one day with regrets. I don't want to be done without giving it my all. When life knocks you down, you got to get back up and you got to find out what it is to put you on the right path. And I get it. Sometimes that's hard to do. It's hard to do if you're in an abusive relationship and somebody's beating on you, or you're in a mental abusive relationship and somebody's mentally abusing you, or you're in a family and you've lost your wife or you lost your husband. Whatever the case might be, I get it. Life happens and things happen, but it's up to you to decide what you're going to do about it. And I've got some really good tips. You can ask Brandon. I've got some really good tips on what you can do that if you actually followed what I encourage people to follow, I know 100% it would change your life if you actually did it. Maybe you got to start at baby steps to get things straight in your life, but don't go every day saying I'll get to it. Remember I brought up procrastinating, Brandon? It's
Mm-hmm.
so easy to do that. Now, my goal when I got my ex-wife pregnant, I said, well, going to college is going to be hard to do. So I sacrificed the first half of my life to assure that my children would grow up with common sense, with knowledge, and with a decent living. And now, granted, 2016 was a little bit later than, my kids were already older when I went back to college, but the point is, you got to hold yourself responsible. If you want to make things happen in your life, you got to hold yourself responsible, and you just got to do it. I see so many people, I've seen so many people, Brandon, that have died from drug overdose.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've got scientists that still do research to create a better method for addiction. We've got medications that will help those that's going through addiction. We've got
Yep.
therapists like myself, counselors like myself. We've got books, we've got movies, we've got programs, we've got all these things.
We got rehab centers.
And one of the biggest cures to it, if people would just stop and look in the glass, look in that mirror, and say, what are you doing? I'm not saying drug addiction and recovery is easy, because it's not. But it's a challenge that you can defeat. Once, once you become addicted to drugs, there will always be a risk. Even after you go through rehab, you go through the counseling, you go through the recovery, there will always be a risk of you going back to it. And that's okay. Because as long as you master holding yourself responsible and giving yourself a better life, you'll get through it.
And I gotta say, if anybody ever says that you can't recover from drug addiction, I just have to say that's false because about a year ago, the classes you led on recovery from drug addiction, none of those people that went through it and graduated came back because they had relapsed. None.
You know, it
So,
no, because they held themselves responsible. And listen, I know that some of you out there, I know there's all kinds of conditions. It's not just, oh, well, that person's crazy. If they would just stop thinking. There are true conditions out there, and it makes it really hard. There's true addictions out there that make it really, really hard. I don't expect people to not mess up. Look, we all mess up, but you got to stop and you got to look and say, you know what? If I mess up, then I'm going to do whatever I got to do to refrain from that happening. There's people that go through addiction, they go clean for 6 months, and they go right back to it.
mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's okay to do that, but it's okay that they messed up. It's okay. But just do something to keep yourself active on doing better. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to make sure. One of my dogs got sick, I think.
Uh-oh.
So, Brandon, what is your Oh boy, it was you that got sick. What was you eating, puppy? So, talk to me,
Probably
Brandon, and
grass.
tell me. No, I don't know what that is, but I gotta get so I can get it up. I Guys, I've studied so much on all. I mean, well, if you could just imagine, probably all the stuff that I've studied, because I mean, here I am. I've got a semester left, and I'll have my bachelor's in psychology. So I'm sure that when I say I've studied, you've
You've
got it.
studied.
You've got a decent idea of kind of where that like get back where that lies, right? And I've
Yeah.
studied a lot of different types of.
Uh-oh.
I'm still here. I'm cleaning up a mess real quick
Okay.
because the dog, she has gotten sick. Here, come on out there. Come here, Nala. Come on out. Come on. Dog, you got sick. Um, but there's all kinds of different, depression and different things that can pop up in our life. And there's some difficult ones out there. I can't look at one. I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that everything you go through is simple to get through, because I know it's not. But what I'm saying is this, because I don't want to sound like I'm saying, well, you can get through it just because I say you can. No, I get
Yeah.
it. I get it. But you got to you got to step back and you got to say, okay, what do I got to do? And if you don't have that answer, then it's okay to get help. It's okay to ask for help. Um, you know, man, she made a mess in
You
her
know,
crate.
I gotta say, it's unfortunate that it's unfortunate that society has stigmatized asking for help for different things, such as depression, because people like Robin Williams, rest his soul, had depression. And I think if he had reached out for help, he'd still be alive today because it can cause people to commit suicide.
No, I don't know what. Yeah, um, that's that's a tough one. That is a real tough one. It is, and he went through. And it's funny that you brought that up because that was one of the things that I did a research paper on was uh, was Robin Williams.
He was a good actor too.
He was, and I mean, you guys seen the life that he lived. He was a great actress, but at the same time, he was suffering.
He was suffering from depression. Yep.
And well, he went through even uh, gosh, this dog really got sick. He went through depression, and oh gosh, at the same time, it wasn't his first round neither. He had went through uh, no wonder she got sick. She was eating something. I don't know what it was, but it had cloth
Ah,
because she's chewing on something she shouldn't have.
probably a towel or something.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what, but she definitely got a hold of something. But you know, depression is a good one you bring up though, Brandon, because that is not that is not an easy one to go
No,
through.
and people dubbed that one the silent killer because it can be.
Oh, 100%. And it's probably the depression is one of the most serious conditions that somebody can face because of the fact that it's not a easy it's not an easy one to detect. Meaning, you might you might be depressed, and I might not see the signs of it for 10 years. Who
Yep.
knows? So, bear me 1 second, folks. What happens when your dog does something like she just did today. Thank you, Nala. But thank you for your mom not being home. Lord forbid.
Thank you for chewing on something
Whew.
and getting yourself sick.
Yeah, and I still don't know exactly what she chewed on, but I know I'm going to have to put her blanket in there and wash it too. It's the life of owning dogs, folks.
Yep.
It is. It sure is. Sometimes you, well, not sometimes. All the time you got something to deal with animals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. It's okay. All right. Yeah, that's your cage, silly girl. Um, but this is what I want to say because I don't want to end this the way that it might sound with me saying, well, if you got depression, just look at it, look at yourself, look at your worth, and you got depression, well, take care of it. I don't want it to come off like that because I understand that sometimes there's things that you just can't do alone. I understand it. But let me say this then. There are people that love you. There are people that care about what you're going through. You might feel like nobody cares. Well, I know that can't be true. Because if that was the case, then me and Brandon wouldn't be on the show today trying to help you understand that even though you're going through this, you can do better. You can get better. Come here, get a drink. Come on, get a drinky. Right here. Here's your water. Get water. Looky. Get drinky. Or no. But if you are going through something and you can't do it on your own, there's loads of resources out there. And if you don't want to talk to if you don't want anybody in your life right now to know you're dealing with something, that's okay. There's ways you can talk to other people, and no one's got to know. No one's got to know that you're struggling if you don't want them to know. There's resources online. There's numbers you can call. They got numbers you can call just to talk.
Yep.
Just to have somebody to talk to. And I know you might be saying, well, yeah, but they're getting paid to do it. That's why they do it. Not always. Yes, there's some out there that only care about the money. But there's people like me, like Brandon, like others that I've met through my career that generally,
Generally,
generally, and most gently care about your self-worth. Are you alone? Let me ask you that. Are you alone? Are you going through depression? Are you in the state of feeling like you need to hurt yourself? You don't gotta be. Life is so big for you. What do you mean, John? It's so big. I mean, this world that you live in has just as many things to offer you as it does everybody else. Life's not meant to just have a mansion for Brandon. This world can have a mansion for you, for me, for my kids, for your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, and the list goes on and on. It's just a different method that you got to go about getting it. I can't stand to see people that sit back and judge people because they go through something that makes them, oh, well, they're crazy. Oh, they're suicidal. They don't know you. They don't know anything about you. So if you got someone in your life and they're the reason you feel the way you feel today, make those changes to get rid of the negative. If you take out the negative, your life will it most definitely will improve.
Oh, and I'll bring up another one before we end this real quick. Homelessness. I can't tell you how many times I've seen, not only in apps, but around my own community, where people just judge people for being homeless. Oh, well, they're just bringing in trash and crime and blah, blah, blah. It's ridiculous.
And you know these people are out here on the streets. I just talked to my sister yesterday, and across from where she lives in a field, there's some people that's got tents. And she said, well, they get to stay there for now until someone finds out and they're going to run them off. Leave them alone. They're homeless. They got nowhere to go, nowhere to be. And it's dead winter.
Exactly.
One of my goals, along with my career here where I live, because I believe this is where I'm going to have, I believe I'm going to keep my roots here because I was raised here. And I feel like it's my job, my purpose, my goal is to do something great for not just me, for not just those going through psychology or needing counselors, but to do something great for my community. And one of those things is homeless. It's funny you brought that up because one of the things that I want to do is get a shelter started in Scott County, Indiana. Now, the city won't like it. Why? Because they're the people that sit on the other side of that fence pointing fingers and saying you're no good.
All I got to say to them is too bad. People need homes, people need a place to go.
They do.
Not everybody has, you know, a place to go because of one situation or other. It's not always their fault for being homeless.
Right. That's right. And I mean, we can either go through life, and this goes for anybody. You can go through life and you can live it miserable, or you can go through life and try to get the best out of it that you know how. And when you don't know how, find help. Somebody will help you. Somebody will help you.
Or if you just feel like you need to talk, sometimes I find that just listening or talking to someone helps a lot as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So, folks, don't go through life feeling like you're alone. Who cares if you're on drugs? If you're on drugs, then so be it. The first step is finding someone that you can vent to, that you can talk to. If you're homeless, so be it. We're actually going to be setting up a number, and this is the last announcement that I got for today. And Brandon might be on that call list. We'll see how that goes. I still got to talk to him about it. But there's going to be a number. You'll be able to call it. And at any time, even if you don't want resources, you just need a listening ear. Somebody's going to pick up the phone and somebody's going to talk to you. Okay? So, folks, we will be coming back to do another one of these live streams. I don't know if it's going to be tonight, but it's going to be often. Brandon, I appreciate you joining me.
Glad to be here.
I'm looking forward to more of these, and hopefully,
Close closes the window. Microsoft Flight Simulator
hopefully we've got
1.35.1.0.
somebody's attention today. That's the goal. Don't go through life doing nothing.
Start virtual. Stop recording. Checkbox checked.
Not when you can do something about it. Y'all be sure to subscribe to the channel, like, share, tell your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any social sites, and remember, you do matter. And those of us here at the lounge, we're taking it day by day to create a better future for not just us, but for you. Take care.